We are told we must choose a side of the mountain. But what if the heart seeks the stability of the earth with Islam, while the mind seeks the clarity of the sky with Buddhism? Welcome to Deen and Dharma. I'm your host, Shema. For many of us in the modern world, our spiritual lives feel fractured. We perform the rituals, but our hearts remain empty. We seek purpose, but get lost in the noise of distraction. This first episode is about bridging that gap. I'm introducing a spiritual system I call the Heart Awakening. It's about utilizing the disciplined clarity of the Buddhist mind as a tool to clear the debris of the ego to reveal the intuitive knowing of the heart, which I root firmly in the Islamic essence. The Heart Awakening is the moment the veil lifts, when the mind stops projecting illusions and the heart remembers its origin. It's the synchronization of two powerful states of being. Muslim in heart, which is the vessel, the heart here is anchored in a concept in Arabic called fitra, which is the innate, pure disposition that knows God naturally. It operates on tawakkul, which is the radical serene trust that all energy and currents flow from a divine source, Allah. Buddhist in mind is the tool. It's the practice of utilizing mindfulness, sati, to observe thoughts without attachment. It recognizes the impermanence, a concept known as anicca in Buddhism, of all things, allowing the individual to detach from the ego's constant craving for control. To synthesize, the Buddhist mind quiets the noise so the Muslim heart can hear the call of the divine. It's about using clarity to achieve ihsan, the highest level of faith in Islam, excellence and sincerity in all that we do. The most powerful application of this Buddhist mind, Muslim heart philosophy is found right in the Quran. In the story of Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him, in Surat Al-An'am, the chapter called The Cattle. Prophet Abraham's journey is a masterclass in meditative inquiry. He doesn't blindly accept, he observes the arising and passing of phenomena, a core tenet of mindfulness, to arrive at tawahhud, which is the oneness of God. In the 6th chapter of the Quran, we find a seeker. Before Abraham was a prophet, he was a philosopher. He stood in the dark, much like we do when we feel lost in the modern world, and he looked to the stars for an answer. The Quran tells us that Allah placed stars for us to be guided by them through the darkness of the land and the sea. Verse 97. When the night outspread over him, he saw a star. He said, "This is my Lord." But when it set, he said, "I love not those that set." Verse 76. This is the first moment of the Buddhist mind appearing in the Islamic heart. Abraham is practicing vipassana, clear seeing. He observes the star not with dogma, but with presence. He sees its beauty, power, but then he notices the fundamental truth of the physical universe, impermanence, anicca. He sees the moon set, then the sun set. His mind uses the logic of a Buddhist. Anything subject to change cannot be the ultimate reality. But here is where the heart anchors this realization. Prophet Abraham doesn't end in nihilism. Instead, he uses the setting of the stars as a compass towards the fixed star, which is the divine will. He says in verse 79, "I've turned my face toward him who created the heavens and the earth, as a Hanif, pure in faith." In the Heart Awakening, we look at the stars to realize the greatness of the one God who set them in motion. And the next part of this podcast will explore that moral gravity that keeps us centered when the world feels like it's spinning out of control. In Act 1, we saw Prophet Abraham use the clarity of his mind to observe the impermanence of the cosmos. Now we look at the paths we walk: Dharma, Sirat al-Mustaqim, and cosmic order. Buddhism gives us the concept of Dharma, which is the cosmic law of how things are. Islam provides us with Sirat al-Mustaqim, which translates into the straight path. When we talk about the heart awakening, we realize that the straight path isn't just a set of external rules, it's a cosmic frequency, a moral gravity. To stay on it, you need the clarity of an awakened mind to recognize when you've drifted. The Buddhist tool mindfulness allows you to see the Dharma, the cosmic order of your own internal state, noticing a rise in anger or greed before it becomes an action. The Islamic goal here is it ensures that your heart remains in a state of taqwa, God consciousness, keeping you aligned with the straight path. Both traditions suggest that the universe has a moral gravity. If you align with it via divine will, you find peace. If you fight it, you find friction. This brings us to the core paradox. We often confuse agency with control. We think because we have the agency to turn the steering wheel, we have control over the traffic. In the Heart Awakening framework, we use Buddhist clarity to see that control is an illusion. But Islamic accountability reminds us that agency is a duty. In Islam, this is mirrored by qadar, which means divine decree, and ikhtiyar, which means choice. You don't control the universe, but you are 100% accountable for the intent within your heart. To ground this paradox, we look at the profound paradox in Surat Al-Anfal, the chapter The Spoils of War, verse 17. It was revealed after a battle addressing the moment a throw was shot. It says, "And you threw not, O Muhammad, when you threw, but it was Allah who threw." This is the heart awakening in one sentence. It acknowledges the agency. The prophet did physically throw a handful of dust, but it negates the control. It was Allah who made that dust enter into every idolater's eyes, directing the outcome. When we use the Buddhist mind to observe our actions through this lens, we stop chasing the hit. We realize that our only job is to throw with the best intention on the straight path, Sirat al-Mustaqim. This realization frees us from the paralyzing fear of failure or the arrogance of success because we know who the true actor is, God. The paradox is this: you must act as if everything depends on you, with agency, while knowing that everything depends on the divine will. God has control. It's not about being paralyzed by fate, it's about being liberated from ego. And in the next part, we'll talk about what we actually do with that liberation, the path of service. If we accept that we have agency but no ultimate control over outcomes, what do we do with our lives? We serve. In Islam, this is known as khidma, which is service to humanity. In Buddhism, it's the bodhisattva path, which is service to all sentient beings. A heart that is awake is a heart that can perform ihsan, to do beautiful things to worship God, Allah, as though you see Him. You can't reach that level of excellence if your mind is clouded by the ego's constant need for validation. Buddhism teaches us service as selflessness. The Buddhist mind realizes that self-serving actions are a trap of the ego, nafs. By serving others, you can break that grip. Islam teaches us service as accountability. In Islam, you will be asked by the divine, "What did you do with the strength I gave you?" In the parable of the sheep, on the day of judgment, Allah will say, "O son of Adam, I fell ill and you did not visit me." The person will reply, "O Lord, how could I visit you when you are the Lord of the worlds?" Allah will say, "Did you not know that my servant so-and-so was ill and you did not visit him? Did you not know that had you visited him, you would have found me with him?" He repeats this about those that are hungry and thirsty, that when we provide and aid them, we find and feel God in this service. Here you get to use your agency to serve, but because you have no control over the gratitude of others or the success of your mission, you remain humble. You become a hollow flute through which the divine mercy flows. This is how you become a better Muslim. You serve the creation because your heart is awake to the Creator. To keep this heart soft and capable of service, we need compassion. The Buddhist practice of metta, which is loving kindness, softens the rigor of religious practice. It's the intentional cultivation of a heart that wishes well for all beings. When you bring this Buddhist compassion into your Islamic practice, such as your prayer, it changes. You're not just performing a duty, you're radiating rahmah, God's mercy. You realize that the Prophet, peace be upon him, was sent as nothing but a mercy to the worlds. The awakening acts as a tool that breaks the ego's us versus them mentality, allowing the Islamic essence of universal mercy to finally bloom. We move past mere obligation and into excellence, ihsan. And in our final act, we'll bring this all back home, from the stars back to the heart. Welcome to our final act. We've reached the summit of our mountain. The mind has the clarity of the sky, the heart has the stability of the earth. We return to Prophet Abraham. Prophet Abraham observed the impermanence of the stars, the moon, and the sun. He used his mind to see that everything was setting. In Surah Al-An'am, he said, I love not those that set, verse 76. But he didn't end in nihilism. He used the setting as a compass point, a sign, an ayah, leading him to the fixed star, the Creator. Abraham's awakening was the realization that though the mind can see the stars and analyze their nature, it is only the heart that can know the creator of the stars. He moved from observation of the universe to the submission to the divine will, which is the entirety of Islam. Why does the Quran tell us that God gave us stars to guide us through the darkness of the land and sea? Think of your life's challenges as that darkness. Your anxieties, your old fears, your need for control, they are the heavy fog. The Buddhist mind allows you to watch that fog without being consumed by it. You see your anxiety and you say, this too is setting. This too is impermanent. In the Islamic heart, it looks past that fog to the fixed star, which is divine will. Every star has an orbit it cannot leave. You too have a path of service. You have the agency to move, but the surrender to stay within that beautiful gravity of God's plan. We've covered everything from Dharma, cosmic law, to the parable of service, to my framework of heart awakening, a Buddhist mind, Muslim heart philosophy. Let this be your practice for the week. Use your mind to witness the world without the illusion of control, and use your heart to serve with total agency. Repeat this simple affirmation as you walk your own straight path. I'm a servant in my heart. I'm a witness in my mind. I'm a servant in my heart. I'm a witness in my mind. The mind sees the stars, it provides the map, but the heart is the vessel. The stars guide us, but the heart carries us home. Peace be upon you, and may your heart remain awake.